Every culture has its version of a one-pan dinner, whether it's a wok, a paella pan, or cast iron. Milk Street Kitchen's newest cookbook is The World in a Skillet, with 125 recipes adapted to skillet cooking. The book takes inspiration from cooks all around the world.
What is the benefit to doing cauliflower rice over regular rice?
Obviously, it's very healthy. I mean, it's just cauliflower, right? But I also like that it's a very neutral grain, and I'm going to use the word grain loosely because it's not really grain, obviously. But it's neutral and it takes on whatever flavor you want, but it's also kind of fresh and light, but it's also a neutral vegetable. So it takes on whatever flavors we throw at it. Like today, we're going to make a Mexican style cauliflower rice, which is kind of our interpretation of arroz rojo, which is a spicy tomato rice dish from Mexico. So all I've done so far, thrown some olive oil and an onion into the skillet. We're going to let that cook for a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I'm going to talk to you about making cauliflower rice. But as long as you have a food processor, it's a breeze to do. You get yourself a head of cauliflower.
Okay.
You trim off the leaves, and then you cut it up into 1-inch chunks.
Okay.
And you don't have to be careful about how you do it. Just chop it up. And don't be afraid of including most of the core, because that's perfectly edible. And you're grinding it up anyway, so it's going to be delicious.
I was going to ask you that. Do we need to cut off the stem? But no.
I just trim off the dry part, and that's it. And the rest of it goes right in. And then a handful or two at a time, depending on the size of your food processor, you throw it in, and then you pulse it maybe 5, 6, 7 times.
Okay.
And you want it to look like kind of small, broken up pebbles.
Like what you have right there.
Exactly.
Okay.
You just throw it right in the skillet and you cook it right along with the rest of the recipe. Nothing special.
That's actually really nice. It sounds super easy.
Well, and actually it's easier than using regular rice, because with regular rice, you have to pre-cook it before you do a stir fry.
You have to boil it. You got to do all those things. Or whatever you do to make rice. Put it in the rice maker, obviously.
Right. So, all right. Even though I lied to you about throwing the cauliflower rice in, first, we're going to throw in some tomato paste, about 2 tablespoons. We're supposed to throw in 2 cloves of garlic chopped up, but I'm eating this for dinner tonight, and so I put in 6 cloves of garlic.
Yes, I love it.
Never have enough garlic. All right, and I'm just stirring that in, and then 2 teaspoons of ground coriander and 3/4 of a teaspoon of chipotle chili powder. You can put more or less depending on your heat tolerance. Now, you're just going to stir this, and you're going to let it brown a little bit. And the tomato paste, it's going to stick to the bottom of your pan. Don't freak out about that. That is okay. And the reason that's okay is you're caramelizing the natural sugars in the tomato paste. You're going to get a lot more flavor out of a simple ingredient just by letting it brown for a couple of minutes.
So when someone says you're burning your tomato paste, I'm going to say, no, obviously I'm caramelizing the natural sugars.
Exactly. I want big flavor. All right. Now that we've done that, now we can add our cauliflower rice. Okay. And we're going to, for this recipe, you want about 4 cups of cauliflower rice. And that's about how much you would get from, say, a 1.5 pound head of cauliflower.
Okay.
All right. Now, the trick with cauliflower rice is you don't want to overcook it. You want your cauliflower to have a little bit of juiciness to it.
Okay.
And so once you get it into the skillet, you're going to go maybe 4 or 5 minutes at most. That's really all it takes. If it gets too dry, if it's sticking a little too much, you can add a little bit more oil or a little bit of water or even some broth if you want.
And I'm assuming this is one of the many recipes in The World in a Skillet. Tell us about the book.
Yes, that's our new book. It's all about recipes that you can do in one pan. So some recipes call for nonstick, some call for stainless steel. Generally speaking, you can almost always use a nonstick. You know, some of the recipes I love that we don't really think about doing in a skillet, pasta recipes. Like you can do a mac and cheese, but you do everything in the skillet. Like you cook the pasta and the sauce in the skillet. Now, obviously that's easier. It's faster. Less cleanup, but the real benefit to this is you're getting more flavor. Yeah. Because when you cook your pasta in the sauce, it absorbs all that flavor. You're not cooking it in water. All I did was throw in some peas, frozen peas, and threw them in, and you cook it for another minute, and this is done. Like we did this in real time.
That's
while we've
crazy.
been talking. That's how easy it is to get a really delicious dinner or a side if you want. You could put this with some grilled chicken would be great, but I'm just eating it by itself, frankly.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. And so are there other recipes? What are some of the other recipes you love from this book?
The chickens, the pastas, that's what does it for me.
I
So I'm just
love
gonna
it.
throw
Pam,
some
that looks
lime
so
on this.
good.
Isn't that great? There we go. And so now we have Mexican style cauliflower rice.
Okay, JM is sharing the recipe for the rice, and you can find it on our website. In the meantime, I thought I'd cook up a little something for the crew. I'm a giver like that. The recipe is from The World in a Skillet. This is sauteed corn with miso and butter. It's been sauteing now for about 5 minutes. Let's see, what else do I have to do? It's got scallion whites. Now I'm going to add a little bit of fresh ginger and let's see, stir in some miso. This is a miso and sake combination. I'm going to pour this in there, and oh my goodness, look at that. We had a little sake left over. What should we do with that? Ah, that's good stuff. All right, I'm going to put in a few more of these babies. And what else do we have? Oh, got some pepper. So simple, so simple. And a little bit of, what is this? Chimi. I did not take language courses, at least not successfully, so I might mess that up a little bit. I'm gonna just stir this up, and you know what? I'm gonna share it with everybody. Oh, look, through the magic of television, there it is. It's all done already. Looks great. And this is what mine looks like. Looks pretty good. It's getting there. Come on. You know what? It's getting there. Are we gonna see? We don't have plates to hand this out, right? So I'm just gonna have to eat it right out of the pan. I'll let you know how it goes. Half of it just fell back in the pan, you guys. Don't worry. I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me.